Here we are in problem 2.16. In this case, we're looking at the annual incomes for a sample of 200 first-year accountants that were recorded. And the instructions are to summarize these data using a graphical method. And if you look at the start of chapter 2 under the objectives, you've got pie and bar charts, and a bar chart is often used to display frequencies, and a pie chart shows relative frequencies. And then you get into histograms and stem and leaf displays, line charts, and scatter diagrams. So based on those available options, histogram is probably the best choice for displaying this data using a graphical method. So remember, when we do that, we need to have a bin range and then the input. The input range is going to be starting in cell A2 down to the bottom, but for the bin, in this case, I'm just going to put in a range, and we're going to go in intervals of 4,000. So 4,000, 40,000, 44,000, 48,000, 52,000, 56,000, 60,000, 64,000, 68,000, 72,000, 76,000, and 80,000. Now, to make it a little easier to read, I'm going to put it on the left side. I'm going to put commas in there, and I'm going to get rid of the decimals. Go back to general. Maybe I'll leave it just like that. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is select the range. So I click on cell A2. I'm going to hold down my shift key and hit the N key and then the down arrow, and that'll go all the way down to cell A201. Once I have that range selected, I'm going to hit the data tab and then go to that data analysis tools. Again, histogram is what we used the last time. I'm going to click OK, and you can see right here I've got a range in there, but it's not the range I want. So again, I'm going to go back up and click on salaries, hold down shift, go end, go down from A1 to A201. I'm going to delete the bin range there, hit the scroll bar up. In this case, I'm going to click and drag from C1 down to C12, and then for the output range, I'm going to change that to E1. A chart output is fine. I'm going to click OK. And I made a mistake somewhere in there. Oh, I forgot to click labels. There we go. And again, once I've done that, I'm going to click on the chart. I get these other options available. First thing I'm going to do is right click, format the data series, and get rid of that width, the gap width. And I'm also going to drag this down. Make the chart a little easier to read by making it larger. And under layout, I'm going to get rid of the chart title and the legend. Maybe even make it a little bit larger yet. And that gives the approximate range. Now I could adjust even on this side if I wanted. If I right click and format the axis, It gives me options here. Everything's set to auto, but I could go fixed and go, instead of 70, I could put 80 in there, and rather than the major unit being 10, I could make it 20 and click close, and now you see that I've got that range going that way. If I wanted to shrink that just a bit, go under the handle there in the middle, bring it a little bit closer together. So again, you can adjust that either horizontally or vertically on the handles. Otherwise, in the corner, you can adjust them both at the same time. But that gives you a general sense of what this histogram looks like. If you look in the back of your textbook, remember the answers to most of the even number problems are found there, and it describes this histogram as symmetric, unimodal, and bell-shaped. So symmetric being that if you draw a vertical line down here, that each side is about the same. In fact, if you go to page 22 and 23 of your textbook, on page 22 it talks about symmetry. So a histogram is said to be symmetric if when we draw a vertical line down the center of the histogram, the two sides are identical in shape and size. Now these wouldn't be quite identical, but fairly similar, so it would qualify as symmetric. And then unimodal means that it has a single peak, which we see right there, the single peak. And then also you could consider this bell-shaped, and that's a special type of symmetric unimodal histogram, is the one that's bell-shaped. You've heard of the bell-shaped curve, and it becomes important later on in statistics, and we're going to take a look at that specifically in chapter 7, but it's got a lot to do with those shapes and probabilities and how we can make what's known as inferences based on that. But we'll leave that for chapter 7. So this gives you an idea of how you would use Excel to create the histogram, and a little bit about that. So that's it for 2.16.